Okay, hello boys and girls. Today we'll be starting our first clay project. We'll be making these cylinders out of clay. So to make these cylinders, what you do is you make a flat pancake and then roll it into a cup. You can decide to make pencil holders, vases, candle holders, it's up to you. So these are some photos that I saw another art teacher do with her art class. I really like these because these students did a lot of different cutouts using cookie cutters, and they added lots of cool texture onto their clay. All of these have an outer space theme. You can see there's planets and stars and the moon. There's even an alien here. For your project, you can decide what theme you want to use. It can be really any theme, but you want to base your theme around the available cookie cutters. So you can see this is an example of a finished work. This work, I would say, is very simple. I wish there were more stars and moons and designs in this work, and I wish there were some pieces of wire at the top. Today, before you start using the clay, I'm going to ask that you do a sketch of your design. This will help you really think about what you want your clay cylinder to look like. So I did 2 sketches as an example. On your sketch, you'll need to write your name, draw a quick drawing of your idea. I use Sharpie, but you can use pencil, and draw what you want your design to look like. It's also easier if you label what tools you use to make the different parts of your design. So for example, in this design, I chose to use the leaf cookie cutters to make it look like the leaves are falling down. And I want to include some little dots that I'll make with a wooden stick. So these are holes made with a wooden stick. This tree, I'll scratch the tree into the clay using a sharp tool. On your sketch, I'm also asking that you write the theme and the function of your work. So of course my theme is falling leaves, and the function is I like it to be a candle holder for myself. And I chose a fall theme because fall is my favorite season. This is another example of a sketch that I made. This one I similarly drew my design, labeled how I'll make these different shapes using clay, and I also included the theme, which is cars, and the function. So for this piece, I would like it to be a pencil holder for my nephew who likes cars. Once you have your sketch, I'm going to check that you have everything ready to go, and then you can get the materials to start making your idea with clay. Today you'll actually need to get a lot of things to start. Today you'll need, of course, a chunk of clay. You'll also need 2 wooden sticks. You'll need a clay tool that's kind of like a knife. You'll need a clay mat and a rolling pin. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to start by rolling a slab. A slab is another way of saying a pancake. We want our pancake to be a long rectangle. So I actually made this stencil that has the right size for the cylinder. So you can also get this piece of paper to help you. So I'm going to start by forming a basic rectangle with my hands. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I want it to be around the same size as the stencil. Then, once I have it about the same size, I can start rolling it with the rolling pin. So I'll place the 2 wooden sticks on either side of my clay. And this will help my clay not be too thick or too thin. So my clay will be the width of the stick. So I'll roll out the clay. And when you're rolling, I suggest you flip the clay as you go because you want both sides to be smooth and you don't want the clay to stick to the mat. Keep rolling. And as I'm rolling, I'm going to check my piece of paper and make sure it's the same size as the paper. So right now I can see it's too small in some sections, so I can just get some extra clay and stick it on the parts where it's a little too narrow. Then I'll get my rolling pin and just smooth it out. Again, I'm flipping the clay as I go. Great. So let's check how it's doing. So right now my clay is a little too small in some areas, but for the sake of time, I'm just going to keep going and show you the next step. Once you have your clay big enough so the piece of paper is covering the clay, you'll just get the knife and drag the knife along the paper. This will create a nice straight line. So I'll do this all around the paper and cut off these extra bits of clay. Great. Okay, so I'll remove the stencil and I'll see my clay. So right now it's a little bumpy and jagged in some areas, so I can start smoothing it out with my fingers. And I can start working on my design next. So in this clay piece, this person chose to have a wavy top, which I think is really cool. So I can do something similar by cutting into the clay. So I know this is the bottom, so this will be the top. Just cut a nice wavy line. Then it's the fun part. It's time to start decorating your clay. So you can start getting the clay tools and making the cutouts. So maybe I'll add a leaf. Good. So when you're using the cookie cutters, there's two ways you can use it. If you press really gently, it makes a outline, but if you press really hard and go all the way through the clay, it will make a cutout. So you can do a variety of different designs in your work. This is really tiny, so maybe I'll remove it with the wooden stick. Great. So I really like this little one, so maybe I'll keep this to go up. So maybe I'll use the wooden stick. I can make some holes. I can look at my design. I can start drawing the tree with this. And so on and so on. So I'll keep decorating and decorating. And once we're done, today we're actually not going to roll it into a cylinder. What we'll do is we'll store it in a plastic bag, and in the next art class you can keep work on decorating it, and in the next art class we'll roll it up into a cylinder like that. So today, when you're finished, we want to keep your clay nice and wet so we can work on it in the next art class. Again, you can keep working on your design in the next art class. Today at the end of the art class, what you'll do is you'll get a plastic bag and carefully put your clay in the bag. Great. So try to remove as much air as possible and zip the plastic bag, and so when you come in for the next art class, you can just keep working on it. We'll also add your name using just a little white piece of paper so it's easy to see. So I'll write Miss B. You can also write your name on the back of the clay, but I think this will be easier to see. Okay. Good. So next, I'll tell you where to store the clay so you can keep working on it in the next art class. Have fun!